Hello, my name is Daniel Yuck. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you, your time, and your support. In this video, I want to dive into an in-depth review and take a close-up look with you all at my new tattooing book called CraniAtomInk. This tattoo workbook is designed to help us get better at applying skull-like designs. Some of them have lines, some of them don't, so there is a variation of different skull types, and there's also a little bit more, like some bones included as well. So CraniAtomInk is the name of this tattoo workbook. It is now available on Amazon.com. If you head on over to Amazon.com, type in Daniel Yuck or CraniAtomInk, you will see this workbook pop right on up. I will also be leaving my Amazon affiliate links for you in the pinned comment and in the description below, so that way you can check this book out on your end. Now, CraniAtomInk is a structural tattoo workbook for understanding skulls, and it is just that. Let me go ahead and show you the book close up. You can see it is a gloss finish cover. That is the ink, that is the name right there. And this is the spine. So you can see it's actually a pretty big size workbook. It doesn't I think it has about 90 plus exercises here, and they're all going to be full pages, which we'll take a look at here shortly. But you can see it's not by any means a booklet. It's a full-blown workbook here that you can use to better this style of designs, whether you're trying to do bones or skulls. This is definitely going to help you in the right direction. So when we take a look at it, we're going to be greeted with these pages right here that kind of guide us and let us know the purpose of the book. But you can see then we get greeted with exercises. All of the exercises are going to have a very faint print there, so that way whatever color ink you're using is going to be dominant when you're done applying the exercises. And you can see each and every single page has an assortment of different skull exercises that we're going to be using, and guaranteed everything that we learn here is going to be transferable and translate well to human skin tattooing, even fake skin. So if we're just starting out, then we can go on to workbooks, fake skin, and then human skin as we gradually progress. But each and every page offers something a little bit different from one another. So you can see this one's more line dominant than it is shading. So depending on what you're wanting to practice would help guide you to determine what exercise you want to practice on. But if we go through it, you're going to see that every single page here has an assortment of different skull designs, and they are dedicated to just simply practicing. So that means you can take this workbook with you anywhere and practice anytime, any place. And you can also use a pencil, you can use a ballpoint pen, or you can use a tattoo machine with ballpoint cartridges. That's going to be totally up to you. To get the absolute most out of my practice, I prefer to use a tattoo machine with a ballpoint pen cartridge. That right there is how I get the most from my time investment into these workbooks here. And then that also, when I'm practicing that translates well over to fake and human skin. So I really do pick up the fundamentals and understandings from these workbooks, and they do translate on over well to needle. Before we get into reviewing this further, I want to let you know that I do have an assortment of various tattooing workbooks. For example, you can see this is called the Tattoo Journal Volume 2, but there is 1, 2, and 3. They start off with basic lining and advance to full-blown lining and exercises with shading and all of that in Volume 3. Volume 1 starting at the basics. And then this is another one called Stencil Focus, which allows us to get comfortable with the carbon purple and also practice on realistic styles. So that allows us to really step outside of our comfort zone if we're not comfortable with practicing, realistic sort of designs. You can see this is a session that I got in that taught me so much here. So this one's also available. Another one called the Shading Journal. This one's dedicated specifically to shading exercises. You can see I have another one called Vehicle Practice. This one's dedicated to learning how to apply vehicles. Same thing with the Tattoo Practice Companion. This one is an all-in-one. We can practice lining, dot work, shading, packing, all of that within this book right here, from beginner to advanced and everything in between. So in case you're wanting to get a little bit of everything, this one's a good place to start. And then if you're wanting to specialize in something, you can gradually pick another book that'll help you specialize in what you're wanting. And it keeps going. You can see I have one called Dot Magic. This one's dedicated to like pointillism practice. And another one that I do have here is Wildlife, which is dedicated to wildlife animals, textures, snakes, and so much more. One of my personal favorites is going to be the Fundamental Tattoo Handbook. This one talks about tattooing from a technical standpoint. This one is more of an educational book that has a whole bunch of information that you can read that's dedicated to tattooing, from sterilization. You get tattoo quizzes. Even at the end, you even get to practice tattooing and everything that you learned right within the book, or you can just put a paper over it and practice right over it. But you can see this is an actual book with loads of literature on how to tattoo, or at the very least, understanding tattoo tattooing from a technical standpoint. That is called the Fundamental Tattoo Handbook. All of these are available on Amazon.com and Barnes & Nobles. Head on over to either or, type in Daniel Yuck. You will see the assortment of tattooing workbooks pop right on up. From here, as I've mentioned, we can practice with a pencil if we're not ready to commit to the pages. Let's say we don't want to actually mark up any of the pages. Then we can go ahead and get a pencil and then commit to the practice and then erase it. So that way we're committing to the practice, but we're not committing to the deposit into the page. If you're ready to actually start applying and practicing with permanency, you can use a ballpoint pen. If you're wanting to get the absolute most out of your practice and time investment into the workbooks, then you can even get a tattoo machine with a ballpoint cartridge. This is going to be an ink claw blade tattoo machine. This is going to be an ink claw cartridge, as well as an ink claw wireless power supply. And you can use this to get the absolute most out of your setup. As you can see, I'm ready to rock right here. This is a green cartridge. From here, I would simply pick an exercise and begin applying it to the best of my ability using the current knowledge that I have. And that's how we gradually start walking up the stairs, improving our skills. I'm going to pick an exercise that I like within CraniAtomInk, and then from there, I'm going to go ahead and begin applying it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this behind the page, just so that way I could preserve the exercise behind this, because you can see. So we have the exercise on the front page, and then behind it, it's a blank page. And then the next page continues, and every page is so on like so. So this is how I'm going to go about protecting the pages in the back while still getting the practice in. Much like tattooing, I'm going to start with the area that I'm going to, or that's close to me. So instead of, I could start right here in this floral area, or I can go straight to the skull practice and then kind of pretend that this doesn't exist. That's going to be up to you, depending on what you are wanting to practice. So for me, I do feel like practicing either or is going to get to a good place regardless. So I'm not going to put too much thought into it, and I'm simply going to start in these areas right here. So if I were to go ahead and then just begin applying these the exact same way like I would as if I'm tattooing, that's basically the process. Just taking my time. You can use any ink you'd like, any color. It doesn't really matter as long as you're happy with what you picked and you're happy with the way that it gets deposited. I'm just using very light motions here so that way I can layer up the tones here. And what's good about this is the way that I'm applying this area is the exact same way that I would go about applying it as if this were on human skin, fake skin, and using a needle and ink. It really doesn't matter. It's the exact same process for me, which really allows me to get the most from my tattooing workbooks. Everything that I practice here translates over nicely onto human and fake skin. Or even just if you're not at human skin, that's fine. To fake skin, you're going to see how what you learn in the workbooks is actually going to transfer over, and you're going to use a lot of these flows and habits that you're developing in the workbooks on fake skin, and you just gradually adjust and accommodate for fake skin. And this would apply to any part of these exercises. So let's say I want to go right here. Since we're at the very early stages, or since we're just developing technicality and not really following a tattoo workflow, we can skip around. However, you want to kind of just be mindful that you're tattooing right here because you want to practice teeth, for example. And then if you're wanting to practice like a real workflow, then you would approach it like a real tattoo where you don't put this hand over the stencil. You want to treat this as if the stencil can come off. So, you know, you always want to find some balance. Sometimes you're going to use your imagination. Sometimes you're just going to practice technical fundamentals. So that's going to be fully up to you. So you can see this designer here is very complex. Now this is way out of my style range. So I'm looking at this, and just by looking at it, my artistic approach is already trying to help me guide through this entire thing. So my artistic approach is telling me to start somewhere, and I'm going to start with this darkest this darker area right here, and then I'm going to begin applying what I would deem as the correct tones around. Chill. And right here. So my logic is just simply, what I'm trying to do is problem solve here. So I'm looking at the shapes and everywhere, and I'm looking at what technique I'm going to use. So you can see, like, I'm starting right here. I need to do some whip shades just to begin establishing the boundary. Same thing this way. There we go. I'm going to do a little bit of cross hatching as well. So you can see that even on paper, I'm still able to layer up layers of tones here, shading, so I can get to the tone that I'm looking for. So overall, we can practice anytime, any place using these tattooing workbooks. Park, at work on lunch break, even on a slow day at work, at home watching TV. You get the idea, and you're still going to be able to get that practice and work in. So it doubles as not only academic, but it doubles as skill buildings, forgive me. Okay. Now the idea is just that. You get to zone out anywhere. Literally, you can go to a park, take your machine, listen to music, sit next to a tree, and then literally just develop your tattooing skill sets. And they are going to carry over to human and fake skin and then human skin. I like to do it in stepping stones. And that's the idea. You just zone out and then invest as much time as you can into practicing, and then you're going to notice that your techniques will not only get better, but your application will get more smoother. What took you more time to apply before will just get cleaner and easier and quicker for you. Not that being fast is the goal, but optimizing our application is the goal. So a few things that I'm picking up right here is I'm learning how to just simply trust the process. This style is completely out of my norm. However, I am learning to look at what's going on, apply the darker areas, transition to the lighter areas while maintaining the integrity and structure and flow of the actual design there, as you can see. And I would just essentially keep repeating this process all the way throughout on any exercise that I choose. It really doesn't matter. And that is exactly the point of my workbooks, is to help you practice anytime, anywhere, but help you practice realistically to what you would be using if you were actually tattooing with needle, fake skin, or human skin. That is the exact point of my tattooing workbooks. They are designed to help us practice and develop our skill sets anytime, any place. Now, it really doesn't matter where you are at. You can practice while getting realistic flows that you will actually be using when it comes to tattooing needle and ink. Everything will translate on over. You just have to really take it serious, and the amount of effort that you put in, those are the those are the habits that you're going to take with you when you actually start tattooing with needle and ink. Now, that'll be it for this review right here. All in all, I do feel like these workbooks are very powerful. If you're a beginner, intermediate, or you just want to brush up on a new style, these workbooks are definitely worth checking out, in which I will be leaving my Amazon affiliate links for you in the description below and in a pinned comment. Should you have any questions at all about anything that you heard throughout this video, I encourage you to drop a comment down below. Rest assured, I will do my absolute best to assist in the best possible direction. If you found this video helpful or this workbook helpful, consider giving this video a thumbs up and sharing it with a friend that you feel can benefit from it. I will also be bringing more videos like this, so be sure to subscribe to my channel, as I would greatly appreciate your support. With that being said, I appreciate you, your time. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a great day.